ask them, can you qualify? Quickly. Several things about the Son. I gotta hurry. Several things about the Son. Quickly. Number one, it says, look at number one. It says, whom he has appointed, that's in verse 2, heir to all things. So number one, the Son, a heir is somebody who has legal right and ownership, not to some things. Oh, I wish I had time to preach it. Is he heir to what? Everything Jesus owns. He owns the sun, the moon, your hair, your lipstick, your shoes, your clothes, your hands, your glasses, your false teeth. Everything Jesus owns. Let that soak into somebody. He owns everything. He's here to all things. He owns the White House. He owns the government mansion. He owns the whatever building. Everything Jesus owns. He owns all things. Secondly, through whom he made the world. So if Jesus is here to all things, and it is through him that God made the world. Secondly. Thirdly, verse 3. He says, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person. That means he reflects the full glory of God. He's the image of God. Fourthly, look at it. Upholding all things by the word of his power. What means when he spoke a word, the earth came into being. And the earth starts spinning around the sun. And while the earth is moving around the sun, the earth is spinning on its axis. Can somebody say motion? And the moon is now spinning around the earth, which is spinning around the sun. If the earth comes 1 inch closer to the sun, we fry. We become fricassee people. Everything burn up. If the earth moves 1 inch away from the sun, we freeze. And for hundreds of years and thousands of years, the earth is moving in an axis and constantly spinning to give us summer and winter, springtime and harvest. The tides come sunrise, sunset, and everything continues to be. Why? Because the word is still working. Oh, you don't get it. The word is still working. And that's why it says it opposes all things. That's in verse 3. Verse 3. He upholds all things by the word of his power. If he takes his word from the universe, everything collapses. And everything ceases to exist. Do you know that your body is made of molecules? And they're in motion? And if the word is removed, everything falls apart. Somebody thank God for the word. Number 4. Look at number 4 and number 5. So much of them. And here's what it says. And when he had by himself purged our sin. He purged our sin. And the next thing he says, he is at the right hand of the majesty on high. The right hand symbolizes position of power and authority. All those things about this man Jesus. No prophet can take that title. No prophet is qualified. That's why we worship Jesus. All over this room, lift your hands and worship Jesus. Come on, worship Jesus. And so now, let me move quickly. And then now it says in verse 4 now. So notice, the word in Hebrews melody, it tells us Jesus is higher than the prophet. And then now he starts now to talk about angels. He's now said that he's not only higher than the prophet, is higher than the angels. Verse 4. And having become so much better than the angels, he hath by inheritance, by legal right, obtained a more excellent name than they. You see, in the physical world, we give people names and we don't understand names. They call it Dwayne, but they don't know why they call it Dwayne. They call me Asa, but they don't know why. But in the spiritual realm, name is power. And there's authority in a name. And there are lower names. And there are higher names. And Jesus, because of inheritance, has obtained a more excellent name than any angel. And none of these things apply to angels. You know, they're not hearers or anything. And then now he says, then in verse 5 now he's saying, to prove that Jesus is higher than angels, look at what God is saying. Let's look at here what God is saying. Because if God says something, it must be true. Can I talk to somebody? If God declares something, it must be true. That's why we don't pray to angels. We don't speak to angels. We don't worship angels. Jesus is higher than the angels. Give God praise, somebody. Jesus is not an archangel. Angels are created beings. He wasn't created. He's begotten. In verse 5 it says, to which of the angels did he ever say? Did God ever say to an angel, you are my son? Today I have begotten you? And again he said to an angel, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. What God said to the son, no angel ever got that word. And then he says, my time is gone, but I'm excited for verse 2. Let me hurry. Sister Mel, verse 6. He says, and when he brings the firstborn into the world, he says, let all the angels of God, angel of God means every angel that God created, let all the angels worship him. You don't get it. There are different kinds of angels. Yes. There are messenger angels, worship angels, there are good angels, and there are bad angels. They call them demons. You don't get it yet. Yeah. So when Jesus came into the earth, God declared, I declare every angel worship him. You don't get it yet. Good angels worship him. Bad angels worship him. You don't get it yet. When Jesus came into the world, demons had to bow and give him praise. Satan had to bow and worship him. That is why when he tried to tempt Jesus, Jesus said, remember when I was born? Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Satan had to worship him. That is why when Jesus encountered the man that had a legion, they had to bow down. Throughout the New Testament, we see demons worshiping him. They have no choice because it's divine command. And if angels can worship him, we can worship him too. And if angels are commanded to worship him, we are commanded to worship him. Come on, lift up your hands and open your mouth. Come on, open your mouth and give God a praise. Can somebody worship the Lord? But to the Son, he says, your throne, verse 8, your throne, God is calling, the Father is calling the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of the kingdom. You love righteousness and hated lawlessness. Therefore God, your God, hath anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companions. In verse 10 it says, and you, Lord, he's talking to Jesus, in the beginning, laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, the earth will pass, but you remain. They will all grow old like a garment, and like a coat cloak you will fold them up. They will be changed, but you are. Oh, I feel like praising God, somebody. He's the same yesterday, and today, and forever. I may get gray hairs, but he never changes. I may falter, but Jesus never changes. He's my rock, my sword, shield. And to which of the angels has he said, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. And then talk about angels now. Are not, verse 14, are not all ministering spirits? Angels are servants sent to serve those who will inherit salvation. Amen. Oh, can I talk to somebody? That's why you don't pray to angels, they're your servants. You don't worship angels. You don't fear angels. You don't show reference to angels. They are servants to work on your behalf. That means God, as about the angel of the Lord, encampeth around them that what? Fear. That brings me to my text, finally. And I have 5 minutes to go. I will do this in 5 minutes. You can't come and say, blessed Lord, blessed Lord. I'm almost there. Am I helping anybody today? So now, chapter 2, verse 1. Quickly. Chapter 2, verse 1. Chapter 2 begins with therefore. Now remember, when you see the word therefore, it means based on what was said before. Here's what we're going to do. Everybody got that? It said, therefore, we have, because he's excellent, because he's God, because he's the creator of the universe, we must give the more earnest heed to the things that he says, that we heard, lest we drift. Next week I talk about drifting. Because the greatest danger is not the devil, it's drifting. Let me say it again. Next week I'll preach about it. The way your greatest danger is not the devil, it's drifting. So he says you have to be careful lest we drift away. And then verse 2 tells us why. He says, if the word spoken through angels proves steadfast. He said, therefore, listen to this. Here's the thing. Jesus is more excellent than angels. And if the words of angels come to pass, the word of angel is sure. The word of angels is like a rock you can depend on. How much more steadfast is the word of Jesus? How much more you can trust him? Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. How I trust him. It's so sweet to trust in Jesus. Just to take him. If the words of angels are steadfast, how much more steadfast is the word of Jesus? Then it says now, and every transgression and every disobedience receive a just reward. Verse 3. How shall we escape if we neglect so great a salvation, which at first began to be spoken by the Lord and was confirmed to us by those who hear it? He said, if when the angel speaks and people didn't obey or trust, people get dumb, people get punished, they lost their life because they did not believe or obey the word of angels. How much more the punishment if we neglect the word of Jesus? That is all I'm saying. Jesus is more excellent than angels. And if the words of angels is steadfast, they can come to pass. How much more the word that Jesus has spoken. And if when angels speak and people get punished or die, or they get into trouble because they did not obey the words of Jesus, how much more greater punishment if we don't obey the words of Jesus. Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus. Just to take him at his word. Just to rest upon his promise. Just to know, thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him. How I've proven him over and over. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus. Oh, for grace to trust him more. And also says, when we walk with the Lord in the light of his word, what a glory he sheds on our way. While we do his good will, he abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey. There is no other way to be happy. To be happy. To be happy. The only way to be happy in Jesus, if you trust and obey. Are you ready to obey him? Lift your hands and worship the Lord if you're ready to obey him. Are you ready to worship him? I know my time is gone, we're going to celebrate communion. My time is gone, we're going to celebrate communion. But before we sing that song, before we sing it, I have to take 5 more minutes. I remember a couple years ago, play verse off. During the summer months, the church into financial difficulties usually. And we realized that one of our members, her light was about to be cut off. And I remember the Bible telling us that those in need, we need to help. So I called the board at that time and said, we're going to help to pay her light bill. And because that's what the word says. They said, Pastor, we don't have the money. If we pay her light bill, we don't have enough money to pay the church light bill. But I said, this is what the word says. And then I made a bold statement. We're not going to only pay her light bill, we're going to pay her gas bill, which was in arrears. We're going to pay for the next 6 months to a year. My leaders almost pass out. Pass you crazy. I said, we got to trust God. The first month, I told her to send her bill. She said, yeah. The first month we paid it, we could not fully pay our light bill. But we got to obey God. And we kept paying it for about 6 to 9 months. And what happened when the church light bill and gas bill got backed up? We could not pay. And I remember one Sunday, Wednesday, the members came and they were rushing to because there was a sign on the door. They coming to shut off the gas. But they couldn't get into the lock box because Pastor had the key. So they had to go away. And everybody's upset at Pastor because the bills are not paid. When the bills not paid, I take it. But I believe God. And the next Sunday, Sister Mel, for the night, we used to have 2 services, 9/11. A lady came in. And she said, and when she came, she sat at the back, she was like nervous. And she just disturbing the service, talking to the usher thing. I remember who was ushering. And then she literally persuaded the usher to come and call me, and I was mad. Why? Because before I preach, I don't want nobody to talk to me about problems. Because when I'm preaching, I like to download from God. You know, I don't use notes. It's in my head and God. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Amen.
So I said, can I talk to you? She said, Pastor, eventually I wake up and I said, I have to go preach, I will talk to her at church. She said, I can't stay. And then I was about to talk to her rough. I was about to rough her up like a pastor. But then the word comes. I said, a soft answer. And I remember the word that said, the servant of God must be gentle. So I had to use the word to control my emotion. That's why it says, when it says, man shall not live by bread alone, but by what? You use the word to control your emotion. There are many people that are moved by circumstance. But you can't be moved by circumstance, you must be moved by the... And she stood there and said, Pastor, I won't take a minute of time. I said, okay, my sister, what is it? I've never seen her in my life. She said, I have to go to my church. She don't belong to our church, she belongs to another church. She said, I was here last Sunday, but nobody came. And then I said, 7:30? She said, how you know? I remember the Sunday before God woke me up and said, I need to come to the church to pray 7:30. But when I was driving in, I saw somebody in the parking lot. And when I prayed over my people around, I want to chat too much. So I went to 7-Eleven, get a cup of coffee, went to McDonald's, and then I came back, it was gone. And she said, Pastor, I came last week at 7:30, and I said, man, I only disobeyed God. But she said, I came this week. And she said, okay, Pastor, I got to take this. I said, well, she said, take it. And she gave me the envelopes and ran. She got to go to her church. When I opened the envelope, it was over $6,000. Over $6,000 to pay for our light bill. And notice how God works. God works through His written word and works through us intuitively. When you obey God on this side, God puts somebody to bless you on this side. Give God a praise and obey Jesus. And somebody say, obey Jesus. And so now I proudly present to my board here, pay the light bill. And after a couple weeks passed, I don't know if it's 3 weeks, I think it's a month, I'm not sure how long. The same lady she called, keep calling the church. I said, why this woman? Well, because she gave, I talk to somebody. She called and said, Pastor, I want you to come and bless my house. I didn't have any time, I was going to send a minister, but she said, Pastor, I want you to come. So she came and went by the house, and she was there with 4 people. And as I came up, she started jumping up and down. Jump up and down, jump up and down. I said, Pastor, I thank God for you. I said, what happened? She said, she was in the process of buying the house. And for months, everything tied up. The owners took off $50,000. But the bank still wouldn't qualify her. They need to take off $100,000. $100,000. The lawyer says they take off $50,000, but there's no way they're going to take off $100,000. But she said, I can't get the loan because when I'm qualified, they have to take off $100,000. And she said she almost gave up. And then she said, you know what? She took the show money. You don't know about show money. It's money you put in the bank to show the bank that you have money. She said, Pastor, I drained it. I took out $6,000, over $6,000. God told me to take it out. And they took it out. And on Sunday, as I gave it in, the next day the lawyer called me. The lawyer called me the next day. Because as she